Hey, what's up, yous guys? It is the Ant-Man channel here on this Tuesday, January 15th, 2013. And here we go into an article posted by WND under health. This particular article is written by Lee Hieb, medical director. Dr. Lee Hieb, or Hieb, hope I'm saying that right, is an orthopedic surgeon specializing in spinal surgery. She is past president of the Association of American Physicians and Surgeons, a free market medical organization. What government tells you to eat is all wrong. The weekly prescription is what she calls her entry. Exclusive Dr. Lee Hieb gives real skinny on low-fat malarkey. This should be interesting, as is all health news, because as you are aware, the health industry is what it says it is. When if you're looking at the hard left media, you see that they always promote Whole Foods. Whole Foods is a place where they sell food where there's like GMO in it and all kinds of bad stuff, but they're called Whole Foods. Like, they have this front where they're like little mom and pop, they care about health type of thing, but then they're corporate and they have GMO in their food. So it's a total, it's a total front, it's a total deception. But as are all things in the health field, when a doctor's so quick to prescribe you a synthetic, pill, it's then everything's fine. But it's just, it's not though. It's that's the easy way. That's the way that they make money, and money to them is, making money is easier than helping you survive. Plus, that's not really what they want. They're just trying to keep you alive on, barely hanging on by a limb, so that they could keep you on that medication, whatever they gave you. So don't be surprised if you're hearing a lot of health news about vaccines being bad for you, and GMO and fluoride and all that. Because now it's coming to light, and this is stuff you should pay attention to, because 5 years down the road, if you're not changing your habits and you're not actually paying attention to your diet, and diet doesn't mean you're trying to lose weight. Diet means you have a particular cycle, or daily routine of eating certain foods. A lot of people are going on the no gluten diet, and I'm actually hearing a lot of recommendations for that, because I like to keep in shape and eat right too, and it would be way better if I had a wife, because I'm tired of cooking for myself. I'm just kidding. I have a hobby. When I see a healthy patient over 90 years old, I always ask them about their diet, and the answer is almost always the same. They lean over and, sounding a little guilty like the kid who got caught with their hand in the cookie jar, say something like, "Well, I hate to tell you this, but I have eaten butter, eggs, and bacon all my life." At which point I ask the female patients about their pie cooking, and they all agree they used lard. Now, this is not a rigorous scientific study, but I have been doing this for over 20 years, and the observation is remarkably consistent. The important fact, in my opinion, is not what they eat, but what it implies about what they didn't eat. They did not switch to margarine. They did not use Crisco for cooking. They did not wallow in corn oil. In short, they ate natural fats, not man-made fats. In their heartland, meat and potatoes, home-cooked diet, the ratio of omega-3 to omega-6 oils was generally high. I hate to keep denigrating the food pyramid, but it deserves denigrating. And once again, with regard to intake of fats, for at least 40 years, the policy wonks have pushed a low-fat diet, also promoting heart-healthy margarines in place of butter, and have recommended more complex carbs overtly as well as covertly in most low-fat foods. Artificial lab-delivered filler carbs give the food substance, so low-fat foods are generally high-carb foods. Interesting. During this reign of the government's nutritionists, Americans have become more obese, with more diabetes, metabolic syndrome, and Alzheimer's dementia. The recommendation persists even in the face of massive data showing that oils derived from plants such as soybeans and corn, omega-6 oils, create inflammation in the body and contribute to disease. Studies on Paleolithic diets and diets in other historical periods have shown that primitive man ate a diet consisting primarily of grass-fed meat with its fat, nuts, roots, and berries. This resulted in an intake of fats fairly evenly balanced between omega-6, generally vegetable oils, and omega-3 oils, generally from fish and olive oil. But the turn of the last century, with the Industrial Revolution giving us the ability to process foodstuffs, people were eating diets roughly 4-to-1 by World War II, 8-to-1, and today our omega-6 to omega-3 ratio is somewhere around 20-to-1. As we progressed from our hunter-gatherer stage to pastoral life and early agriculture, we added milk and cheese, some breadstuffs, and still we did not see, in general, the diseases of modern civilization. But add industrial agriculture that allows us to process and modify grains, and squeeze corn and soybeans for their oil, and we have an explosion in cardiac disease, hypertension, cancer, and dementia. It is estimated that 20% of American calories come from soybean oil. One study looking at various populations comparing rates of coronary artery disease to tissue levels of omega-6 acids show a nearly straight line graph of increasing cardiac death with increasing omega-6 tissue levels, and of course the U.S. is on the top. On the other hand, the Inuit and other similar Arctic tribes who subsisted on a diet of 90% whale blubber until joining civilization were not similarly plagued, and were not fat. Why are these omega-6 vegetable-derived oils damaging? Because they produce the chemicals responsible for inflammation in the body, and inflammation is implicated as a common pathway, or at least a great insider or artery clogging, as well as cancer, autoimmune diseases, and dementia. One of the most interesting and important aspects of all this is what omega-6 oils and omega-3 oils do in our brains. The human brain is mostly cholesterol, which is vital to proper neurological function. It is the precursor of many hormones, including serotonin, a major neurotransmitter in the brain associated with feeling happy and sleeping well. Cholesterol may be an antioxidant as well, and one study of IV injections of HDL cholesterol showed that it acted to actually clear clogged arteries. The overall issues of the cholesterol hypothesis will be addressed in another column, but in short, we have been sold on the popular notion that any cholesterol elevation is bad. This in spite of the information that in people over 60, the rates of death and dementia go up if cholesterol is lowered below the 250 range. And in the Melbourne Women's Midlife Health Project, a group of 326 women aged 52 through 63 years were monitored for memory and cholesterol. They found that higher serum concentrations of LDL cholesterol and relatively recent increases in total cholesterol and LDL cholesterol were associated with better memory. The manufacturers of statins, the most common cholesterol-lowering drugs, and the financial powerhouse for the drug companies contest that this memory loss is transient and resolves with removal of the drug, but concerns about this remain. Polyneuropathy, a metabolic disease of nerves that gives patients numbness in their hands and feet, is clearly associated with statin-use cholesterol lowering, and this is not always reversible. For my money, something that damages nerves is risky for the brain. There is no doubt that some people benefit from statin drugs and cholesterol lowering, but we went from lowering levels of 350 to lowering levels of 200, which are now labeled abnormal. For me, I have accepted a degree of cholesterol elevation with aging, but I am scrupulous about the fats I ingest. I avoid boxed processed food. since usually these are made from the bad oils. I make my Christmas plum pudding from gluten-free flour and suet, cook with butter and olive oil, and take supplemental fish oil. I had the opportunity of talking with Dr. Barry Sears, author of the Anti-Inflammation Zone, about fish oil. He and others now recommend 3 grams of of good quality fish oil to supplement our American diets for people who are generally healthy. People with chronic disease may need more, and then I recommend his good book, Olive Oil is the Cooking Staple. But I use coconut oil for cooking as well, and I try to incorporate some into my daily diet. Coconut oil is thought to bypass a metabolic block in Alzheimer's and is being used experimentally in treatment for that disease. Finally, fat is insulin neutral. Finally, fat is insulin neutral, meaning it doesn't raise or lower it, but fat moderates the degree to which carbs are absorbed. A full fat ice cream has a lower glycemic index than a low fat ice cream, and the fats in our diet decrease hunger. The French in this instant are right. They have never eaten low fat yet have lower cardiac problem rates than the US. So fats are not the enemy but should be eaten in their natural, not processed forms. My rule of thumb for my diet in general, if my great-grandmother would not have recognized something as food, Little Debbie's, Cheetos, and I love Cheetos, she puts in parentheses, it's just funny because I love Cheetos too. And I know that there's Yellow 5 and all kinds of bad stuff in it, but it's so good. But, listen to me, being a hypocrite. Microwave, popcorn, etc., etc., I don't eat it, but my diet is rich and varied and delicious. Bon appetit. So it's a really good thing to have people like Dr. Lee Hieb, because we can find out from a really firsthand, she's a doctor, she's a medical director, so she knows what she's talking about, obviously. She has seen it firsthand, not just read it in textbooks, but actually has seen the abnormalities go back, and she's seen homeostasis being maintained through whatever practices you go through being a doctor. But you know what I mean? It's funny because, take it from her, man. Don't take it from, whoever the mainstream media puts on, TV to tell you what good is. They could put Lil Wayne on whatever boxed, processed food they want, and it'll sell because people think like, since he makes money and they put him in the mainstream media to push gangster culture on you, that he must be a genius and he must have all the answers to life. But no, it's not true. Go get your resources from people who know what they're talking about. Get your news and your whatever. Get your information from reliable sources. People who aren't trying to con you into believing that. Because the thing that everyone always talks about when it comes to weight loss is calories. Well, how does that have anything to do with gain? Calories is what we use about 1,500 calories a day, and we eat about 1,500 calories a day. I'm guesstimating, but I'm sure I'm in the ballpark. But that's why if you want to gain weight, if you're like training and you want to gain some muscle, you eat more carbs or you eat more calories than you burn, obviously, because if you burn as much as you eat calories, then you're not really getting you're not going to really see a difference. But the thing for people who want to lose weight, it's funny how the mainstream media always twists losing weight as something that's like impossible to do, man. All you got to do is watch your diet and start doing some exercise, and you will see a difference, man, over time. It takes time, you guys. It's not going to just happen by waving a wand. And people who have had tremendous success in sports did not just appear out of thin air. They went through a lot of hard work to get where they're at. And you see what I mean? But, it's in the carbs. If you guys want to lose weight, just cut the carbs.